Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com. So do you remember when Van Jones, he had a about face? Look how quickly he changed. At first, he says this about Kamala Harris.
Yep. Kamala Harris has not been a polling dynamo. It's not like she's the most popular, human ever born, and that weighs on people.
A polling dynamo
Kamala Harris
makes it sound like a stripper on meth. Anyway, come on, a polling dynamo. Hey, breaking news, election bombshell. CNN's Van Jones is reporting that Kamala Harris is not, in fact, the most popular human ever born. Hasn't exactly been a polling dynamo, he says. More on this as it develops. This adds already to the shocking reports that Joe Biden is senile out of nowhere. So that's what he said. He said this first.
Kamala Harris has not been a polling dynamo. It's not like she's the most popular, human ever born, and that weighs on people.
So he said that, and then he says this. Look, get ready for this.
You start insulting black women, you're going to see something you haven't seen before. Black men are not going to put up with that. I was on a phone call with 20,000 black men. The word protect came up about 1,000 times. Protect this sister. Protect this sister. We're going to protect her. Protect her. You're about to see something you haven't seen before. Look, people messed around with Hillary Clinton and said a bunch of mean stuff to her. Black men set that out. We won't set this out. So I don't think that the Republican Party understands that all the work that they did trying to get us over there, two more days of this, it's going to be a problem.
So I'm going to play that again.
You start insulting black women, you're going to see something you haven't seen before.
Why haven't we seen it before? No one's ever insulted a black woman. By the way, now he's saying you can't criticize someone who wants to be the most powerful person in the world, a politician who hasn't garnered one vote. He's now saying that you can't do that because that's going to be racist. But then watch what he says. Watch this.
Black men are not going to put up with that. I was on a phone call with 20,000 black men.
Does he have that cell phone plan that has 20,000 way calling? What are you talking about? I know my cell phone doesn't include 20,000 ways. So he says he's on a phone call with 20,000 black men, and what happens?
The word protect came up about 1,000 times. Protect this sister.
So you're on a phone call with 20,000 men, and 1,000 times he's on a 20,000 man phone gangbang. And the phrase protect this sister came up 1,000 times. Are you sure the phrase protect this sister from finding out about our weird Van Jones phone orgies? I mean, is that what it was? No. So 1,000 times in a phone call with 20,000 black men. So a really small percentage, you mean? Like 1/20th of the guys said that? That's also called statistically insignificant. Is that what you're trying to say? I like how he says that they sat this out when it happened to Hillary Clinton. Why? Are they racists? She showed them her hot sauce and everything, and they didn't say anything. With this is called infantilizing women. That's what this is called. No one ever said that about Barack Obama. If you insult Barack Obama, black men are not going to stand for it. No one ever said that. This is because Kamala Harris is just like Hillary Clinton, is one of the most repulsive figures in public life in history. Repulsive. Nobody likes Hillary Clinton. You know who especially doesn't like Kamala Harris? Black people. Elizabeth Warren, the Native American, was outpolling her with blacks. Harris' support drops among black voters. She had 1% when she ran for president. Kamala Harris had 8%. I mean, Elizabeth Warren had 8% of the black vote. The black vote. Whitey Miss Whiteman had 8%. Bernie Sanders had 16%. Kamala Harris had 1%. So this is Van Jones doing some deep level bullshit. I was on a phone call with 20,000 black men. And they're not going to put up with it. You're going to see something you've never seen. What are they going to do? What are these 20,000 black men going to do exactly? Wag their finger at people? What are they going to do? You're going to see something. He doesn't say what that something is. Why wouldn't I? Wish he would have said what that something is. Nobody likes her. You know, and here's a black man. Here's not a fictitious 20,000 phone call black man. Here's a real black man.
There's literally no way you can get the black community to support Kamala. And Democrats are the victors.
Did you hear what he said? There's literally no way you get the black community to support Kamala.
There's literally no way you can get the black community to support Kamala. And Democrats are the victim of their own anti-democratic agenda. They canceled the primaries. They forced Kamala Harris down our throats, and now they're paying for it. No one's going to vote for Kamala Harris. It's going to be such a massive landslide. We see how Trump and GOP run against her. If they paint her just by highlighting her policy, I think that would be enough, and that will expose her for being a traitor to our people. It's not we would think Trump would do better. It's about getting people who are part of the Democratic coalition from staying home. I think Kamala Harris is the person that would do that.
Well, Trump actually did better. So Trump is polls better with black people than Kamala Harris did. Trump's getting 22% of the black vote right now. When Kamala Harris ran, she got 1%. I just really, Van Jones? Fred Rogers is more in touch with what the black community thinks than Van Jones is. This guy is just a mouthpiece of the establishment. 100%. Here's another black guy. You want to see another black guy? Here's another one.
There's no way in hell I am going to vote for Kamala Harris. Once again, I'm not going to disparage her. I'm a black man. I respect black women. And I will never, ever disparage her person. But there is no way in hell I would ever vote for Kamala Harris. That's just a no-go right there. Primary reason is she has been reckless and irresponsible. She was in charge of the border, and she left us open to danger and a whole host of other issues and solid, logical reasons why I cannot, in good conscience, allow her to California, my America. I won't.
So I'm guessing he wasn't one of the 20,000 black men on that call. So I'm guessing these two black guys were not one of the black guys on that call. Here's another black guy who probably wasn't on that call.
Black people, I will say to you once again, if you think that Kamala Harris is going to represent your interests, you are absolutely not looking at her background whatsoever.
I say Kamala Harris represents all the people. I mean, if by all the people you mean a small handful of wealthy white coastal elites, she really represents them. So that's three black guys for you. Here's a black woman.
So the DNC, the GCCC, and the Democratic Party all actively forgoed a primary process. And they were telling us that Joe was ready to go. Even though you and I both knew that Joe probably hasn't known what day it is since about 2022. And now we're expected to support Kamala Harris, who, mind you, is not only a member of his administration, so an active participant in what is going on in Gaza, but she's also a cop, a prosecutor who ruined a lot of black families in California. She was actually so unpopular in her home state that she had to drop out of the 2020 race prior to the voting because she kept coming in 5th place in all the polls. So no, I will not be supporting Kamala Harris. I don't care how much they black girl magic her over the next couple of months.
So that's a black woman and three black guys. Now, I know it doesn't raise to the level of your... I mean, this is... So this is what you're... This is the game from here on out. The game from here on out is you hate Kamala Harris and you're racist against her and you're insulting a black woman because she doesn't have a record to run on. She has nothing to run on. And she's a psychopath, sociopath with an inappropriate laugh at every turn. That's right. So you want to know who super doesn't support this selection of Kamala Harris as the nominee for the Democratic presidential nominee? You know who doesn't support this selection? Because it's not an election. Nobody's voting for her. They're getting insider elites to appoint and select the Democratic nominee, which is how the last two elections went anyway. That's how you got Hillary Clinton. Donna Brazile, who was the head of the DNC, in her book wrote that it was a rigged primary. Elizabeth Warren admitted it on CNN. It was a rigged primary. Bernie's too much of a cuck to stand up and make them change any of the rules. So then in 2020, Barack Obama did the same thing. So that was two primaries rigged. And now this one, nobody even voted for her. And you know who's the one who doesn't support her the most? Black Lives Matter. This is their Twitter. Black Lives Matter says, listen, timeline of events. Sunday, Joe Biden drops out. Kamala Harris announces campaign with Biden endorsement. Kamala Harris says she's going to work hard to earn the nomination. And then Kamala Harris makes calls to party delegates. Monday, Kamala Harris continues making calls to party delegates. Kamala Harris makes two public speeches. The AP announces Kamala Harris has secured enough delegates to be the Democratic nominee. They did that Monday night. Sunday, Joe Biden drops out. Monday, she's the nominee. What? Kamala Harris releases this statement noting she has worked hard to go out and earn this nomination as promised. When did you? Not even 24 hours went by. A 24-hour process of talking to party bosses is not democratic. This is coming from Black Lives Matter. A 24-hour process of talking to party bosses is not democratic, nor is it a process of Democrats should be proud of. We do not live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. This is the blue check Black Lives Matter Twitter account. Installing Kamala Harris, because that's what they're doing. They're selecting her. They're not electing her. They're selecting and then installing her. They're installing Kamala Harris as Democratic nominee and an unknown vice president without. So who's the vice president? We don't even know. Without any public voting process would make the modern Democratic Party a bunch of hypocrites. As if they weren't already. We call on the DNC to create a process that allows for public participation in the nomination process, not just a nomination by party delegates. Well, guess what, Black Lives Matter? You ain't getting it. You ain't getting it. You're getting Kamala Harris, and you're going to have to suck it. That's that. What did you think? What did you think the Democratic Party was about? After a whole year of protests by Black Lives Matter, they invented a whole new police system. I mean, a whole new police force. Not a new system of policing, which is what you wanted. They gave you another police force that was funded to the tune of $2 billion. They didn't defund the police. They unbelievably overfunded them. What did you think the Democratic Party was going to do? When the hell have they ever done anything for you? We call on the DNC to create a process. Good luck with that. Let me know how that works out for you. Kamala Harris was chosen by the richest people in this country and possibly the world to be the presidential nominee. She was the original choice in 2020, and then she couldn't get a vote. She got 1% of the black vote in the primary in 2020. She got less black support than Elizabeth Warren. She got less black support than Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders had 16 times more black support than Kamala Harris did. She appeals to the white, wealthy, elite donor class. Wall Street and the military-industrial complex. That's who chose and selected and is installing Kamala Harris. This is not coming from the grassroots. This says they don't give a shit what you think. They're doing it and suck it because Trump. And here is Jen Psaki, Joe Biden's former press secretary, going to admit to you that they rigged this process for Kamala Harris. This was never even a process. They're just putting on a show.
But now the DNC and the Democratic Party has to run, they're going to run a process, is my understanding. And the process is going to be, the goal of it is to make the vice president look strong and be strong at the end of the process.
And that's what they did. She's already the nominee, the presumptive nominee. It's already over. She's already got all the delegates. She's already got all the party bosses to agree with her. That's what this is. Party bosses are selecting her. She's already been selected by Wall Street. Here's what Matt Taibbi said. Florida, this is how they rigged the primary. So you remember how the rigging goes, right? So they didn't have a real primary. They rigged the primary for Joe Biden. So then all the delegates that got elected to be delegates would be Joe Biden loyal, which means they're establishment party bosses. And they would be the delegates at the convention. So this was the plan all along. You don't have a real primary. And then right before the convention, you force Joe out, which is exactly what they did. They forced him out. And then you have those delegates that were pledged to Biden, which are insider Democrat party bosses. You know they're going to go with the establishment choice, which is Kamala Harris. No one's even running against her because they know it'd be running against the whole party and the donor class, and you can't do that inside the Democratic Party. And so do you want to remember how they rigged this primary for Joe Biden so they could have these delegates choose Kamala Harris? Florida canceled a primary for him. North Carolina, Massachusetts, Tennessee, and Wisconsin submitted only his name on the ballots. In New Hampshire, you chose delegates through a nominating event that didn't include voters. And they also switched the first primary from Iowa to South Carolina. This is all for Joe Biden. Under a new vision in which the DNC was not something separate from the Biden campaign, the party refused to schedule debates with RFK Jr., Dean Phillips, or Marianne Williamson. Proof that America's beleaguered system still functioned would have involved a competitive primary through which Democratic voters could discover Biden's infirmities early enough for them to have a say in choosing a fitter candidate. Instead, the public was only confronted with the truth a few weeks ago, by which time only internal party power brokers were positioned to make a change. That's a failure of democracy, unless you think choosing a candidate without voter input is a systemic improvement. That's from Matt Taibbi. They're choosing their candidate without any voter input after a rigged primary. And these are the people telling you that democracy's on the ballot. Even Black Lives Matter sees through this. Black Lives Matter, the puppet of the Democratic Party, even they see through it and are outraged about it. And they're not supporting this. There is no way in hell Kamala Harris is going to win this election. No way in hell. She's just like Hillary Clinton. She's repulsive to the average voter. She's attractive to the party elite, the bosses, Wall Street, the military-industrial complex, Silicon Valley. She's to the donor class and gay white males. They love her. Black people not into Kamala Harris, no matter what Van Jones says. Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? I recently saw a video he made. I saw it. And I was shocked. He's in his 80s and he's still kicking butt and working out and staying active. He actually is. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. It actually inspired me to stay in shape. Honest. Because, you know what? I want to be in my 80s. I want to be able to still enjoy it, right? I want to be able to enjoy it. Why not? He did this by just making one change. Who did that? Chuck Norris. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing, too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger. Her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a special video, which I watched, that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Jimmy or by clicking in the link below this video. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Jimmy, and click on the link in the description below and watch the video. You won't believe how simple it is. Just a reminder that the legendary Chuck Norris is a whopping 84 years old and has more energy than me. Okay? He discovered he could create dramatic changes to his health simply focusing on 3 things that sabotage your body as we age. Watch this method and his method by clicking on the link in the description box below. That's chuckdefense.com/Jimmy. Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com.